well, to even get to Banki, we had to go on the chopper because we couldn't go by road.
Wow.
When we got there, we found out that the only 3 places that actually were in that town are the humanitarian hub, the military base, and then the IDP camp. So every other thing in that town, like all the buildings and all that, were either like they either had bullet holes, like the dilapidated. So you can imagine the whole town. And then in that place, I think by like 10 p.m., they have to switch off everything. Like everything goes off because they need to be able to hear a pin drop.
Thank you for joining me on Design Discussions, where we discuss design.
Okay.
Or should I say Mr. Shoebox?
Anyone is
Anyone,
fine, Victor.
okay.
I mean, you've known me before, Shoebox time. So.
Okay, before we get very deep into the technicality of it, tell me about the little boy from Alokoli. Did I get it?
Yeah.
The little boy from Alokoli who became the big shot, sought after photographer in Abuja.
So, like, I should tell you the whole story from...
Yes, I want to hear it all.
Interesting.
In your words, so you can summarize it.
Okay, so, yeah, obviously, you got it. My name is Victor.
Yeah.
I am from Kogi State.
Okay.
In Kogi State, there's a local government called Tekina.
Okay.
In Tekina, there's a village called Alokoli. Yeah, I'm from there, but I grew up in the north. Kaduna, precisely. Spent a lot of years there. And eventually, after my parents moved towards Kogi, I came to Abuja. Okay. Obviously, after my uni and all, you went to
Government University. We went to the same uni.
Exactly. Went to Government University as well. So,
yeah.
Over here, I was here for a bit. I got a bank job.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a banker?
I worked in the bank for a couple of, like almost 2 years.
Okay.
And then I was so frustrated. I really, really hated working there.
Wow.
And then, I mean, the bank job was not in Abuja anyway.
Okay.
But I was really frustrated. Not because of the place, but because of the work. It was too monotonous. And, well, if there was anything I learned from then, it was just that I was not cut out for, like, procedures and stuff. And actually, taking that back, I remember one time when my dad, just before I went to uni, when my dad, really, you know how it used to be where parents want you to study maybe architecture, medicine, law, that kind of thing. And I didn't know why I didn't want to do medicine, but I knew that, okay, I wanted to kind of, I've always been a creative. I always wanted to just like be able to experiment. That's my own way to explain it. And so the closest thing to that was the course that I eventually ended up studying, just biochemistry, because at least I knew that I won't be a doctor. I'll be close to something that is nice, but I'll be able to be free to not just follow like procedures. Like if you try to be creative with somebody in a theater, it can end up badly.
It's not very appreciated.
Yes, exactly.
Creativity.
So yeah, exactly. So that was kind of why I did that. And then when I got to the bank, I think that was when it solidified it for me that I wasn't somebody who was cut out to like follow. So medicine is just like banking. Like there are things that you must do. We're trained to work in a particular way.
Yeah.
And if anything goes wrong, they're going to ask you, why didn't you? You can't be creative and say, oh, I routed this money through here and that kind of thing. But even beyond that, it was just the whole system just wasn't like. So I used to be so frustrated. I remember I would leave work and just go spend a couple of hours just looking around the internet trying to find schools and stuff, because that was the only reasonable exit for me.
You mean like schools to do a master's?
Like to go and do a master's, because obviously being like a good child, good son, yes, I am. I couldn't just resign and stay at home and just decide that I want to. But at the same time, I knew that I even felt at some point that if I just continue staying here, like something bad will happen, like maybe some fraud. I'll transfer like some billions that I'm not supposed to transfer by mistake, and then I'll just get into jail or something. Yeah. So I was really frustrated, and then eventually I got like a very big, I mean, to me it was really big then, the scholarship in Aston University, that's in Birmingham in the UK. Okay. And I mean, for the school, they were going to pay about 75% of my fees.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, so I mean, it was, if I remember correctly then, it was in pounds, it was about 12,000, so I was supposed to be paying like 3,000 pounds. Then pounds was much cheaper, way cheaper.
What course was this?
So it was going to be a master's in molecular biology. No.
You're the only person who I've met who is like, oh, I'm creative. I want to go and read biochemistry and molecular biology. No.
So this is the interesting thing. Like, so I just knew that I liked to experiment.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was like, so how do I put it? So I knew that I wanted to be creative, even in the lab. Do you understand? But like, so I imagine that someday I'll be able to make like biodegradable paper. You understand? I liked biotechnology. With your scientific knowledge. Yes, I felt, I'll be able to, do creative things or nice things. Like I like the idea of biotech, being able to genetically modify stuff to solve problems, those kind of things. And all of that, and I got the opportunity. To be honest, it was fun. I had so much fun, like doing the masters and all of that. But one of the criteria, I think, of the master's program was that after that, you were not going to stay in the UK, you were going to come back and all of that. So I came back. And before I came back, somewhere along the line, I had bought a camera. I used to just think like I don't know, like a tourist. So I would go around to places, just try and photograph like places. Those pictures were horrible, by the way, but
they were the budding ground.
Yes, but I was just trying to explore as much as I could after I'd finished for the few months that I had left.
Yeah.
But then I came back, and then obviously you come back here, and around here there isn't much that you can do with those kind of like super sensitive like courses, because I think, okay, if I remember correctly, what I did really was biomedical science, but I knew a bit about molecular biology. I knew a bit about, so it was going to be, if I was going to really work with the knowledge I had, I was going to have to work in like some high-tech lab where they do, and maybe the only places where they do those kind of things are like, maybe back then it was this like maybe Institute of Human Virology and
very
those kind
specific.
of, yes, very specific, because we are not, or at least back then we didn't used to do a lot of experiments, or you'd probably go to a uni, that kind of thing. So when I came back, funny enough, I went and I got admission to a uni, so I lectured for a bit. I lectured for a bit. I lectured for a couple of years, but it was also frustrating there because, again, it was structure and all of that. I mean, structure is not necessarily a bad thing, but it depends on how you look at it. And so I got frustrated there. While I was there, I was still doing the photography thing because the job didn't come immediately. But I started to grow, my, let's just call it client base. Like I had some people that would say, oh, I'm doing a wedding. How far? I heard you do photography. What's up? So small, little by little by little, I was working for people, and then they were calling their friends, and then I was reinvesting some of the money to buy more gear and all of that. And gear was at least a bit more affordable than it is now. And so that's how it's something that was supposed to be a hobby and fun stuff became something that was super serious.
Knowing how Nigerian parents are, and like, they want us to kind of go on the straight and narrow with good intention. They don't want you to struggle, basically. So how did you go from making that leap, that decision from being in, at least at the time, a teaching position to saying, you know what, this thing that's a hobby can now be my full-time job?
I think, so in my mind, I'd already switched,
Okay.
right? But because of my folks, it was I understand exactly what you're talking about when you're asking this question. It was kind of difficult to explain to them what I was trying to do, because they did it. Now they see it, but then they had no clue. And I looked almost like I don't know, a prodigal son, a child that is not ready. Do you understand? So actually, because I mean, my mom just imagined that, in a couple of years, with hard work and everything, you'll probably become a professor, and all of that. And the way it just didn't look like me, like what I saw for myself in the future. So there were even moments where I was living in Abuja, but I was doing a teaching position somewhere in Kogi, in Ayimba, not too far from Alokoli. But I remember one day that I started my car. I left here by 5 a.m. because there was a meeting that all the lecturers had to have, and if I didn't involve myself in that, I would have been in trouble. And so I left here, took like a 4 or 5 hours trip there, did the meeting, and I had to come back that day because the next day I had a wedding. Do you understand? So like I spent virtually the whole day like going and coming back, like about 10 or 12 hours on the road and stuff. I knew that
it's a lot of time to think about your life.
Exactly. But I knew at that point that it was something, even though I didn't know exactly how photography was going to pan out, I knew I didn't want to be a lecturer anymore. And so eventually I just called them. I'd been telling them, but I think there was just one time when they got the message where, okay, this guy is actually not going to be doing this. But now, it was now on me to prove to them that,
I'm serious.
Yes, I chose this path, right? So I have to convince you guys, or I have to show you guys that so I was so serious about it. I, ventured into various, like, I still try different genres of photography and stuff, but I just want to say that's basically how my whole life story has been. Just exploring, trying different things until the modern day Victor Shoebox. That's I am.
And that's really interesting. I think that you've created the proof of concept, and your parents believe you now.
Okay. So now, the question has moved from, so what are you doing? When are you going back to, or when are you going to go for your PhD to? Okay, so how is business? So I have this idea on how you can expand, and all of that. So,
and that's heartwarming. Yes. That, they love you enough to be like, we will support you.
Yeah, because I remember my mom saying, so So after all your masters and all, you also want to be hanging cameras and moving around, like doing weddings and stuff like that. And you actually don't have a comeback for that until your life gets better.
Your life is the comeback.
So that was kind of it and all of that. I think now they get the message, to be fair.
That's good. And where does the name Shoebox come from?
Oh, okay. So everybody uses their name, or most of us use our names and stuff. And I didn't want to use my name. And I liked Shoebox because of I don't know if you've ever heard of the phrase, the shoebox, a shoebox of photographs. It's like people that are not Nigerians and stuff. They store like heirlooms, like family stuff, people store valuables in shoeboxes. Even ghetto people, even like rich people and stuff. So it was just something that resonated with me, shoebox photography.
Okay.
Even though, up till today I still get this question always, like, where did this?
Yeah, it's a conversation starter.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's a good idea. It was a good marketing.
And we were talking about your style just a few minutes ago. I know you I think I know you as a portrait photographer, wedding photographer, but this is me being on the side of like a client or just someone who views your work, and we might not always have the full picture of what you actually do. So what do you do? What's your style?
Okay. So my style is very difficult to explain because, obviously as time is going, I'm discovering myself more. Personally, this is me separating myself from Shoebox as a brand, right? Personally, I think I'm just a creative. Okay. Because, don't worry, we'll probably go into other parts of it. I dabble into like other parts of, like I've done a bit of woodwork here and there. I've done other creative stuff. In fact, at some point, or recently, I started making like wooden boxes for Shoebox, like to be able to deliver clients like photo books and stuff. So again, maybe it's that same thing where I don't like to stay in one with one structure, and then I like to move around. But for Shoebox as a brand, Shoebox is well known, or is more known for weddings, events, and portraits. We also do documentaries for corporate clients and stuff like that. We have dabbled around, like when you start, you do almost everything. But as like our main focus, what we do is a lot of corporate like work, documentaries, that kind of stuff, weddings and portraits.
Okay. And did that just happen to be like the work that you got, or is that the kind of work that you feel most comfortable with?
Yeah, I think let's say that's the one that I feel most comfortable with, because when you do everything, you'll find out that you'll find the ones that you're better at. You understand? And people are happier, to pay you for your results. And then now that Shoebox has even kind of grown beyond just me, like there's a team of 4 or 5 of us and all of that, but now I'm trying to capitalize on each person's, like in the team, each person's strength, and stuff. So we're opening up, like wherever we find out that somebody in our team is able to, deal with a particular sector or that kind of thing.
Okay. Talking about wedding photography, I do a bit of architectural photography because I like buildings and the fact that they stay where they are and they're not moving. But if I was going to choose like to shoot people, I think I would run away from weddings. It just sounds like a high stress event all the time. If you're on the side of the like production or the planning, if you're on the other side of it, it's like I'm there, fun times. But how do you deal with the intense stress that comes with it? You're on a clock. A lot of the time you don't get to take the pictures that you actually want to because they're rushing the bride out or
what we planned is different from what we did.
So how do you deal with that?
So obviously, like with time, it was at the beginning that I used to really fuss about getting what I planned and those kind of things, be on edge, imposter syndrome. Am I sure that I'm giving them what they paid for and stuff like that? But I think with time, I've just learned to relax a bit. Everybody has different styles in terms of how they deal with these things. I'm saying that because recently, I have just done a lot more orientation, like in terms of like speaking to my potential clients a lot, like and us having an understanding and a plan before we go to those high stress situations, right? And then also I have also kind of allowed, I don't know if this is good for business, but I've also kind of allowed everything settle where it's my own kind of clients that kind of like hire me for their weddings. So the clients that just want like just make me trend, like let my photos just be like let my photos just be like it's from a magazine and stuff. There's some other people that are like, I want really good moments. I just want like stuff that I would not see normally. Don't just take those. So for me, I think for me personally, it has been those kind of clients. Those clients are not really care too much, but that's not kind of good for the business as a whole, in terms of the business sense of it, because you want to be in front of everybody, you want to but to be fair, those kind of clients have actually kind of made it to be easier for me because of how important it is. They plan us into the time into the time for their wedding, into their schedule,
Okay.
and all of that. So you would see cases where we would go somewhere, after like maybe the church to do some photos, which was planned in, before we go to the reception, or they would get ready really early and would actually have time to do those kind of things. And those people, I mean, they end up being happy and stuff. In fact, some of them become, from being their wedding photographer, you sort of become like their family
photographer.
You photograph pregnancy shoots and those kind of things. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but maybe just a lot more communication, and with the experience, you just learn to
let something slide.
Yes, allow it happen. Yes, it's happening, but this is a wedding.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. One uncle is going to come from somewhere and say, shut everything
Shut
down
it
now.
down.
Go out now, that kind of thing and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. We're talking about a different kind of projects. What is your most memorable or your favorite project so far? Or it can be more than one.
I think my most memorable is not really my favorite.
Okay.
It's because it was not a wedding, it was a documentary somewhere where we went to somewhere at a place called Banki. It's like the border between Nigeria, Borno and Cameroon.
Okay.
And it was kind of, we're going to document people who had been affected by Boko Haram insurgency in one way or the other. So that area, it just showed me a very different perspective to everything that I've been doing, because in that city, you go from shooting weddings and all those kind of nice stuff, or shooting regular stories, this thing happened, but we're back now, to real life situations of, for example, just to give you a short story, when we first got to Banki, first of all, to even get to Banki, we had to go on the chopper because we couldn't go by road.
Wow.
When we got there, we found out that the only 3 places that actually were in that town are the humanitarian hub, which is where we were doing some work, the people were doing some work for, the military base, and then the IDP camp. So every other thing in that town, all the buildings and all that, were they either had bullet holes, they're dilapidated. So you can imagine the whole town and all of that. And then in that place, I think by 10 p.m., they have to switch off everything. Everything goes off because they need to be able to hear a pin drop in case of insurgents shooting or those kind of things. So, and then you are there when the chopper drops you, you have to be there for 4 days because it doesn't wait. You have to wait for the next time when they come. So that, I think that was one of the most memorable times. The experience, the people, the way they were living. Somewhere in the camp, nothing was happening, where you'll be hearing stories that, it's very possible that somebody could be in that tree watching you guys while you're doing your work. Those kind of, it was. I think that's one of the most memorable times for me and stuff. But in terms of stuff that I've enjoyed, I really enjoyed going through some weddings. There are certain weddings where it really felt like I was part of the family. And I absolutely enjoyed photographing people, and they absolutely loved the outcome and all of that.
Yeah.
When all those things marry, and then whatever they pay you, they feel so happy, they feel so grateful. That can be actually very rewarding. It helps you know that you're doing something that makes sense. Or even if it's family portraits, when you go, then they are so happy, you feel like part of the family.
Yeah.
Those kind of things can actually feel really rewarding.
So, do you have a worst project?
Let's not even go there.
Let's not go there.
Yes.
Let's not cast your clients.
I definitely have
Okay, let me ask you this instead. Concerning clients, what kind of clients do you prefer? Do you prefer, let me say, option A, the client who calls you and is like, okay, Victor, I want to do a shoot, but I'm giving you complete control. You decide what we're going to do. Or option B, client calls you and says, Victor, I have a shoot. This is the shot I want. This is the lighting I want. This is the millimeter. This is the focal length. Do you what kind of client do you prefer?
Do you know those two, right?
Yeah.
What matters with both of them? I don't mind any of them. What matters is if they actually know what they want.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is this: the person that says go ahead, be creative and stuff, I would rather work with somebody like that knows exactly what they want. So they know what I've done before, and they're happy with it, right? Because somebody can even come and tell you, this is exactly what I want, the millimeter, this is how I want everything to be set up. But they still don't know what they want. They are not, do you understand? Even though they have all the elements and all of that, when you do it in your own way or with their specification and all of that, they will still be unhappy. Okay. There's some people that are like that, So in the end, I think any of them, I can work with any of them as long as, so it's easier, one, for me, it's easier if I've worked with them before. So I know, how they react to those kind of things, and I know how to satisfy them and all of that. But as long as they're happy and they know what they want, it's actually not as easy as it sounds to actually find somebody that actually knows exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So I can work
it was
it
a
out
setup
then.
question because I've been a client of yours and I was like, this is A, B, C, D, E, short A, short B, short C. I sent you a PDF and a mood board and a this.
No, but then,
so I was setting you up to see whether you did like me as a client.
No, for example, with yours, like I could tell that you were happy with it.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
That
It was my son's first birthday.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I mean, I know when a client is just like, okay, I'm just going to let this pass. When they're really happy, and when they're really happy, I'm really happy. To be honest, like it makes me really happy.
Okay, so happy clients, happy photographers.
Exactly.
You also talked about being handy and stuff. So I'm guessing that you use that as like an outlet for your other feelings of design that you have. I've actually seen cases where you have built up sets because maybe you couldn't find the sets that you wanted. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's that about?
I don't even know what it's about, but let me explain. So I have actually dabbled quite a bit. I painted this backdrop.
Really?
I made this tool.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I think sometimes I just find some things or I look for some things and they don't look like what I have in my head, right? Or they are too expensive for me. Like the ones that look like exactly what I want are too expensive for me. And I just feel like, okay, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
And then I try and then I say, oh, okay. Then I make something out of it and all of that. Or like, for example, the woodwork thing. It was actually, I was like, oh, okay, there are certain kind of tables and stools and boxes that I want for my project and bought them. And then to transfer it to my clients, it might actually be a lot. So I started to try my hands on a couple of stuff and then I just started. I made Apple boxes, started doing, so sometimes, I don't know if it's like an outlet, but sometimes I just have the itch to try some things or to make some things. I think that's, to be honest, thinking about it now, just being on this podcast and thinking about it, maybe that's what happens. I look for something, I'm unable to get it, whether it's because it's like overpriced in my opinion or something, and then I try to make my own version of it.
Okay, that's amazing. Because it actually turns out well. It's not like I tried to make a chair and it's falling apart.
Oh yeah, no, okay, so that's another thing. I remember when I was trying to make these tools, like I literally had to study, like I don't know architecture, I don't know physics as much, but you have to learn about, it was when I started to do it, I started understanding like even chair legs have something they call rake and all of that in terms of angles that they must be drilled at and all those kind of things. And it's just interesting to now start trying to apply physics and draw stuff to, so the whole process, it's kind of interesting. It's not easy, but it's interesting.
And talking about like dealing with other professionals in the industry, having to collaborate, how do you find that process of when, say, you're on a project that's not an in-house project and you have to deal with makeup artists and event planners and set designers, all that kind of thing? Do you find like it's a smooth process, or do you prefer the project when it's in-house and you have complete control?
So this is actually a very wide question too, because for example, as you were just speaking, I was thinking about setting up some of those cases where I'm trying to do like shoot somebody's wedding and we already planned some time and all of that, and then the makeup artist is taking like 2 hours, 3 hours, eating into my time, and then it's like, oh, Victor, you have like 5 minutes, whatever you should, like, we need to be
it's always the photographer that suffers.
We always suffer, like, because we are not, like, I mean, obviously, the makeup is not done, they cannot go to church, but if the photography is not done,
it's like, whatever.
You can still, you understand? So, yes, in that area, so now I've just learned to like nudge, to talk more and all of that and be not obviously those are high tension moments, so you have to know how to manage everybody's emotions and stuff like that. So it's nicer when you can, obviously it's your project or everybody's all loving because there's no time limit when we're doing like collaborative shoots and stuff. Everybody's trying to get the perfect stuff, so there's so much time. Nobody's fighting against anybody. Those times can be really nice.
When it's an event that's timed.
But whatever needs to be done. That's just I don't know. So I'm just trying to say it's give or take. Sometimes it's like a blessing. There's certain people that it's just when you work with them, it just makes your life so much easier, to be honest. So I don't know. The question, if I remember correctly, do I like to have control or do I? It depends on who I'm working with. Depends on who I'm working with. If I'm working with people that know exactly what they're doing and we all want the same thing, easy breezy, makes my life easier.
Good to go. And what about people who have influenced you and influenced your work? So it could be someone that you've worked with, or that you've never even met, but you've just seen their pictures and you're just like, wow, like this is what I want to do. Yeah.
Okay, so there's quite a number of them, to be fair, and for different reasons and for different aspects as well of photography and all of that. You want me to mention all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of them is HK Money, because not for any particular reason, but just because like when I started back then and all of that, he was one of the people that I was always just going around to shoot with. Like we're just we could just come to his wedding. I wasn't even the second shooter, I was the third shooter and stuff. But, it gave me then because of him, I can say in those years, like I would shoot like back to back the whole year. Like, so if you had 52 weeks, both my own weddings and his own weddings out, so it got me, it gave me the chance to practice a lot and all of that. But I like Big H because of how serious he is, like with his work and how like focused he is. When he gets to that zone and all of that, it's very interesting to watch him. Like every other thing doesn't exist. I'm like that as well. Outside Nigeria, there's people like Jerry Kionis, people like Sue Bryce. I like, for example, for Sue Bryce, I like how she communicates with like her clients and stuff. Sue Bryce is, for those that don't know, like is somebody that I've seen. I mean, from studying her, I saw that she even trained people like T.Y. Bello have been in her class and all of those kind of things. So I mean, when I see T.Y. Bello do all those awesome stuff, it shows me where it's coming from, and I like that. I love that. But yeah, those are a few of the people that every time I look at their work.
Now, for one of my favorite questions.
Yeah. Drum roll.
Is AI coming for your job?
That's a very, I think I thought about that a couple of times. Yeah, it can be really scary when you know that somebody will just like post like a selfie of themselves and say, AI, make a corporate headshot of me of this, and it will do that.
Especially as a portrait photographer.
Yeah, it's give or take. Even okay, yes. I'm not saying how they can use it for chaotic Nigerian weddings yet. Yet. Like I said, yet. But it's good because it would kind of force all of us to have like the human element, like which AI doesn't have yet, or I don't know if they and so people you would want. Because part of the photography service that we offer is telling sometimes you have to hire people when you work with them. You have to lift their spirits. Whether you're doing portraits just in your house or is doing the wedding day. Sometimes you have to be sensitive to know this is not a good time to just be putting cameras in their faces. Because maybe somebody's crying or those kind of things. So I don't know if AI is really coming for my job yet. If AI can do those kind of things, but yes, obviously part of it and all of that, but. Who knows? We'll see. I don't really know the answer, but I'm still here. AI, come and beat me.
Okay, we're winding down now, and I want to ask you a few like quick fire questions.
Okay.
Nothing too deep.
Okay.
The first one is this isn't a quick fire question. This is just a regular question. What would you say to any young person who aspires to do the kind of photography that you do on the level that you do it? What kind of advice would you give them?
These are the steps that I tell everybody. Find people that are willing to like accept you in their team, whatever. If you can't find like colleagues, but it's better you find people that have at least gone ahead of you a bit. Then shoot, like just find your ways. Like, so I remember when I was just starting out, I had my struggles there where I would go to people and I would be like, you know what, can you take me up? Can you take me into your studio? Don't pay me like for a year. Do you understand? Just let me help out, like for free. Like I was that upfront and all that. And then some of them will be like, oh no, if you're going to come here, you are going to pay us. Do you understand? To be part of us and those kind of things. But trust me, like from where I stand, I know that so many people actually need genuine people to help them. Yeah. Right? People that are not people that are just there to come and take. People that are really there to help them to build. So if you can find somebody or a team or a couple of people that you can genuinely give to and stuff, you'll be able to take whatever they have in terms of learning from them, and it will help you like build yourself up to whatever you want. It will take time. Yeah. It will take time. Yeah. That is a given. But I think that's the way to go.
Okay. Okay. So now for quick fire questions. Okay. If you could meet Victor from, let me give you 15 years ago. Yeah. What would you tell him, knowing what you know now? What would you tell him? What advice would you give him? Back to the future.
Save more.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, buy Bitcoin. Oh my God, I would have been so rich. Yeah, buy Bitcoin. Save more. Have more friends. Make more. Or like talk to more people. Okay. Like there's nothing really to be shy of. Yeah. Right? Like just be out there more. Yeah. Right? I think that would have been it, because even though like I always look like I'm everywhere or I talk to them, I'm actually quite more reserved than I would like to be. Yeah. Just that. Like talk to people, try to be more spiritual. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Next one. Money and time are no constraint. What would you be doing right now? That is not photography.
Money and time, no constraint. Yeah. I would have I would expand like I would have a factory. Okay. Like, or several factories. Like a factory for photography. Like I've always dreamed of like those big spaces where you can actually have like almost like industrial size, like photography setups and stuff.
Okay.
I would be doing that.
What would you be doing in this
Yeah,
factory?
it would be a photography studio.
Oh, okay.
But it would be like a factory. Like
Yeah.
it would be that huge, like with different types of backdrops. You can shoot movies, you can shoot different things there. I would be doing that.
Okay.
I would also have like a woodwork factory. I really like woodwork. I would also be farming. I would also have a farm, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think eventually I would be able to
go back to our locally and
set
up your farm.
Yeah, I'll just find wherever I can find like 100 acres.
Yeah.
Or 100 hectares and do stuff.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for all of this. So what is next for Victor for Shoebox? What are we looking at? Future?
It's just to continue to build.
Okay.
For now, nothing out of the ordinary. Just continue to build and to watch as the world is moving, so you can move along and adapt. Okay. For now, nothing out of the ordinary. We're not building any AI tools yet.
That's the competition.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You have to keep your competition close. Maybe I should be thinking of that. But nothing. We're doing more corporate stuff now. We're just trying to readjust as COVID has just left, and everybody is trying to find new ways to do stuff. Everybody's doing more meetings online, those kind of things. So we're just trying to adapt like our products to fit the way the world is moving and stuff. Okay. Nothing. So just progress for now. Building.
Okay. Interesting. Well done. So will you plug your socials? Let us know where we can find you and your work.
Okay. So should I say it or?
Yes, say it, and then we'll have it somewhere here.
So for Instagram, it's Shoebox NG.
Okay.
And Shoebox Portraits.
Okay.
I think that's the same with Facebook as well. I need to ask my people. That's it. We also have a Twitter page, Shoebox NG as well.
Okay. Interesting.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you so much for coming.
Nice. Awesome. How long was that? I'm so sorry.
That's good. It helps me gather my thoughts about alokoli. I didn't expect that you know what alokoli is. But that's the thing. That's what happens when your sister knows the person that's interviewing.
This is going to be the best producer so far.
Really?
The other ones, we'll be in the middle of talking, just hear one chair going.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thank you.